Greetings, everyone, and welcome. Today we'll be talking about Season 9 of Doctor Who. Yes, we're up to 9 seasons already. We're about a third of the way through the original series. Actually, we are a third of the way through. As of this season, we are a third of the way through the original series. There was 26 seasons originally. Wow. So we are, of course, smack dab in the middle of the Third Doctor's era. Good old John Pertwee. Easily one of my favorite Doctors. I just love the 70s in general, the whole 70s era from 1970 all the way to 1979. I love the whole 70s block of Doctor Who. Easily, I think, some of the best stories in the entire history of the series. And two of the all-time greatest Doctors, too. You got John Pertwee as the Third Doctor, and then, of course, Tom Baker as the Fourth Doctor, who some might argue is very much the face of Doctor Who for many fans and non-fans alike, at least the face of the classic series. Anywho, we'll get to Tom when we get to Tom. Right now, we're talking about John, Season 9 from 1972. Today on the Doctor Who DVD Disambiguation on the Multimedia Chronicles. Welcome back. Alrighty, let's get right into it here. So, starting off, we have the long-awaited return of some of the Doctor's greatest foes ever, the Daleks, with story number 60, Day of the Daleks. Honestly, considered to be not one of the better Dalek stories. There we go, a slightly better look at it. Yeah, I used to have this one on VHS, actually, back in the day. I don't know. I thought this one was okay. It's not one of my all-time favorite Dalek stories, to be sure, but I thought it was okay. In particular, it has some nice moments, just sort of quiet moments with the Third Doctor. For example, you just get a sense of how damn classy he is as he's sitting in this old house enjoying a glass of wine, just commenting on, how good the glass of wine is. I don't know, it's just one of those little tiny character moments that I just really enjoyed and savored for some reason. This story also features the first appearance of the Ogrons, which are kind of like ape men type characters who are basically servants of the Daleks and soldiers. They're kind of their, their shock troopers or whatever, just kind of keep people in line and stuff like that. And yeah, you'll see the Ogrons turn up a few times over the years. Anyway, Day of the Daleks, story number 60. Next up, we have, actually definitely a fan favorite, we have The Curse of Paladin, which features the long-awaited return of the Ice Warriors, but not quite in the way that we've seen them before. This is actually a little bit more of a political intrigue story rather than a alien invasion story. And it is written by Brian Hales, the original creator of the Ice Warriors, and bless him for daring to do something a little bit different, Great stuff. He definitely, in this one, we see a different side to the Ice Warriors that we haven't really seen before, and it really makes them much more interesting, I think, than what we've seen before. Not to say they weren't interesting before, but this makes them more interesting just because it gives more layers to their, what they are and what their culture's like and stuff like that, and really good. Plus, the other delegates who are present in this conference that is sort of the centerpiece of the story are really interesting. It's just in terms of seeing all these wildly different alien creatures and such. It's quite a treat to see that in a Doctor Who episode, because I don't think we had seen this big of a variety of alien creatures gathered together in one place in a single Doctor Who story since the Dalek Master Plan way back in the third season. Sadly, only 3 episodes exist of that story, but enough that you can get sort of a sense of it. But so pretty cool indeed. Then we have story number 62, The Sea Devils, which was originally going to be apparently a sequel to the Silurians story from season 7, but rather than just having the Silurians come back, they did the Sea Devils, and the Sea Devils, as it turns out, are kind of cousins of the Silurians. They both sort of have the same I guess, evolutionary background. And in fact, there's a later story way off in the 80s era where the two of them appear together for the first time, which is pretty cool. So, but they were always intended to be kind of similar and have the same kind of background to them. And this story sort of explores their side of it. Also features the return of the Master. The Master, of course, was captured at the end of the previous season's finale, and in this one, the Doctor and Joe Grant go off to visit him at his prison, and, well, needless to say, he escapes, and lots of shenanigans ensue. Next up, we have another spacefaring adventure. You can see we're getting away from Earth a little bit more here. This one is Earth-based, this is off in space, this is Earth-based, and again, we go off in space for the Mutants, which is a really good story. I always really like this one. I don't know, some fans are kind of split on it, but this is another one where he's sent off on a mission for the Time Lords, much like Colony in Space. And this is kind of to another colony in space where there's strange goings on going on, and he has to figure out what's going on. Yeah, that's really descriptive, isn't it? Anyway, the Mutants, good stuff. Then finally, the season finale, story number 64. We once again have the return of the Master in The Time Monster. Yeah, and this one actually gives us our third explanation of what happened to Atlantis. It's kind of funny because just the end of the previous season we got a different explanation of what happened to Atlantis. This one goes into a little more detail. We actually meet some Atlanteans and whatnot, and I think a good chunk of the story actually takes place in Atlantis. Yeah, pretty cool. The last time we visited Atlantis, in Doctor Who, was actually the Underwater Menace, way back in Season 4, in the second Doctor's era. Two episodes of which still exist. But, yeah, so we got that as an explanation of what happened to Atlantis, and then we got another explanation in the Demons. We didn't actually go there, but it was just kind of discussed. And then we have the Time Monster, which gives us yet another explanation of what happened to Atlantis. So either there's a lot of different Atlantises out there, or somebody wasn't paying attention. It's like, yeah, we've covered Atlantis before, just saying. We've done that before. Yeah, I don't know if there's ever been a Doctor Who story that's tried to reconcile those three conflicting stories, or maybe we can just pass it off as alternate universes. Because, there's lots of alternate universes out there. In fact, the Doctor's visited some of them. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. The disambiguations going forward are probably going to be a little bit shorter like this one, simply because there's not as much to say. There isn't as much detail to go into. All of these stories exist in their original PAL Masters, so no real major restoration work had to be done, and for the most part, that's the norm going forward. We've gotten past, finally, as of Season 9, we've got past the vast majority of the problematic episodes. There's a handful of just stray episodes that had some issues with them a little later on, but other than that, all the big problematic ones, or missing ones, or ones that needed color restoration or what have you, we've passed by all those. So now it's pretty smooth sailing from Season 9 onward. Yeah, so there you go. The complete third season of the Third Doctor. Sorry, just reorganizing things a little bit there. I had to double check the numbers. So we have story number 60, Day of the Daleks. Story number 61, The Curse of Paladin. Story number 62, The Sea Devils. Story number 63, The Mutants. And story number 64, The Time Monster. And there you go. That is all of Season 9 of Doctor Who, the classic series from 1972. Next time, we'll jump ahead to Season 10, the 10th anniversary season of Doctor Who. Did they do something special? Well, this year being the 50th anniversary, they're doing a lot of special things. Did they do anything special for the 10th anniversary? I'd say yes, in a pretty big way. We'll have to wait till next time to find out how. Until then, thanks for watching, and sayonara. The Time Monster. The Time Monster. So starting from the top here, we have story number 60, The Day of the Daleks. Story 61, The Curse of Paladin. Story 63, The Sea Devils. Story 64, The Mutants. Wait a minute. How am I... Wait a minute. Hold a second here. 61, 62, 63, 64. Yeah. Okay.